Hello everyone, welcome to Bill.
Nice segue in there. Very nice segue.
Thank you so much for joining us. We are here. Well, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, my name's Anna. I am, what do I say? I'm an entrepreneur. I've got an office in Canary Wharf, actually, in One Canary Square. And I've got a couple of businesses, and one's properties, of course, cliche, and then I've got a recruitment business. And now I also have a law firm. So I'm building a structure of, I suppose, about 20 law firms that by the end of next year.
Oh, wow.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
That's an incredible array of things you're involved in as well.
Yeah, it's
You said, I'll do everything.
Yeah.
You looked at the list and said, I'll do everything.
You call that width, brother. That is amazing.
Yeah.
So how and where did the story start? Because obviously we have a little bit of background about you, but in terms of even how we wanted to do the poddy today, we kind of wanted to just have like a very open and honest conversation. Because even with when we were doing some research about kind of just your backstory, I kind of got excited about this episode because I was like, people are going to listen to a person in real time building the thing.
Yeah.
And I always think, especially when sometimes you see TV shows and you find a new way to do stuff. There's a guy on Instagram that will take little bits and be like, I was today years old when I found out you could do this with a hanger or whatever else.
Yeah.
And so when David kind of obviously sent through the bio and we were looking through it, I was like, oh my gosh, okay, cool. She's very, very serious. And like, you're already in the place that we're coming to film it. So obviously you can't be here if you're not already a serious person.
Yeah.
So in terms of like the journey,
right.
Take us to the beginning. Where did this start?
What the entrepreneur bit, or like
wherever you feel the start is
exactly.
it, right? That means to you.
So I think where I start, I was born in an African country, Angola. They speak Portuguese, and then I think the war sort of broke out there. So my parents, I think my mum said she knew it was time to go when she found a bullet, a stray bullet on my cot. And that particular night, I was actually on her bed. So my dad wasn't home, and I think he was traveling. And then that night she was like, you're gonna sleep with me. And then she woke up in the morning, she found a bullet there. So she was like, okay, stop.
In your cot?
Yeah, my cot, on her bedroom. So then we could hear that. I remember hearing, shootings at night and things like that. But, to see it in your cot, she was like, okay, time for us to just uproot and leave. So we went to Portugal, which, I thought in Angola we were pretty good conditions. Obviously, you're a child, you don't know anything. It was pretty bad, actually, from memory. But in Portugal, it was actually worse because actually it's a cold country. And we were living in huts, like the favelas in Brazil. And having that without central heating, water, or even like central water, anything, or even electricity, and having to use candles at night and things like that. So it was just prone to like fire, which happened a couple of times. To neighbours and things like that, but and also people dying because they were trying to get, they would go to the big power of electricity to give us sort of some electricity for us to have to watch TV and things like that. And then some of those individuals that were brave enough to do that, they obviously passed away because they were electrocuted.
So we're literally trying to wire the
wire to connect it to different houses. God. Yeah. So pretty dire poverty, but as a child you don't know until when I started going to school and started to notice that other people actually living pretty okay. But we had like a huge community. Whenever you go home, you just get away from that reality, you're in this bubble. All your neighbours are in the same situations, and it was a lot of us. So we knew we were poor. We make lots of jokes to this day. We're like, we were poor, but we didn't understand how happy we were because we didn't have any issues. And the stress that you get in England is a different type of stress. It's a different cloud, that we were just making do, and whatever we could do, we used to wash our clothes with our hands, and it was pretty, I don't know if we've ever experienced anything like that or seen on TV.
Could your mum make the noise? Bro,
what?
Listen, so my mum is one of like 9 siblings, and before they came over to England, she lived with her grandmother.
Where?
In Jamaica.
In Jamaica, yeah.
And so when my mum came over, when we were in our house, there'll be some times where she'd have a load on in the machine, and she couldn't wait for the next load, and she'd get in the bath, or she'd put a little bit of water in the bath, and my mum, it's like a washboard, and it's like a,
Yeah.
I've never. This is a whole cultural side.
I'm gonna get you to come to my house, and I'm like, Mom, I'm doing it in the sink. Do you know? I tried to get her to teach it to me, and I could not make the sound. Lucas, it's the most frustrating thing ever. Sorry, and
that's okay.
I love that.
Yeah.
I thought I was the only one. And the sound is so satisfying.
I love you knew straight away.
You want it. You want that sound. As a child, when we were learning to wash, because you have to learn to wash clothes, and you wanted to make that noise. Like,
what is the noise?
It's like
you do this at the same time as you describe it.
But what's the function? Film me.
Because what you're doing is it's like you're rubbing the soap.
Okay, right.
And it's cleaning.
Yeah.
Like, but what you're doing is getting in deep.
I'm so glad we filmed this. They're both emotional. You're both doing exactly the same thing.
Your parents, I think all of our parents have the same posture, right? You've got to have like a...
Yeah, you do that.
Yeah, I want to learn that.
I love that.
Did she have the one that was like a...
No, she didn't have the washboard.
Yeah, the washboard. Yeah, washboard.
It was always her hand.
Yeah.
And she'd use her forearm to kind of hang it, and then she'd just go over. I was like, Mom, teach me.
Yes.
I'm like, Mom, teach it to me.
Wow. Is that nostalgic if you think about that?
Yeah.
Bro, that's like...
Absolutely.
That's Saturday mornings.
Yeah.
My mom's there like...
Saturday mornings was washing day. Yeah, that was,
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Sorry, Anna, keep going.
Yeah, so, memories like that. Things got a bit better, and I think they decided to develop the area. So after, I think we lived there for 14 years. I remember. I lived in Portugal all in all 14 years before I came to England.
Wow.
And then for 12 of those years, we were living in those conditions, in these conditions. And then it wasn't, you know what, it humbles you, like wherever I go in my life, because I can be, at the Ritz having food, and then suddenly I see a friend from back home, like I go back to that person.
Yeah.
Nothing. I think when you come from such a, humble beginnings, that never leaves you. Never, ever, ever, ever leaves you. So it's nice to, I'm thankful for the experience I've had and for that journey. So then we obviously came to England. I couldn't speak any English whatsoever.
Oh, wow.
And so decided, okay, I need to reinvent myself. I've got this thing about reinventing. So whenever life really hits me hard, I'm like, okay, who is this person going to be now? I've got a reset button. And then, decided to go to university, did law, and then went to law school as well, worked part-time, worked full-time. I was trying to juggle both. And then decided that, I worked at the Ombudsman Service, which is down the road from here as well.
Oh, wow.
For a couple of years. And then, went to another company, which I was working for a real estate business that wanted to do businesses. They were doing business in Africa. And they were all from like Germany, America, British. And then they had a couple of offices in Angola, Mozambique, and South Africa, and they were really developing. And the prices I remember back then was like 2015 for a penthouse in the city was like 30,000 for a studio. And I was just like, this doesn't make sense.
Ooh.
Like in Africa, who's affording this?
Yeah.
But it was for the expat, for people coming from here to go there and develop the countries and stuff. So I was part of that for a couple of months. It gave me an idea of like how to start a business. I was like, okay. I started looking. I was like, this doesn't seem too hard. I can do this. And then from then I started going to smaller companies because that's where you learn. And then the owner of Alibaba always said this: if you want to be an entrepreneur, you need to go to a smaller business. You need to learn from everything about the business. And I think McDonald's had the same model. So if you want to buy a franchise from McDonald's, you have to learn how to clean and do the chips exactly how they do. So you need to do it for 9 months, because I tried to buy McDonald's before. And you have to do it for 9 months without and earn and because you need to learn the craft. Yeah, and then that's when you become. For you to tell somebody what to do, you need to understand what they do.
You can't determine the excellence if you haven't been involved in the exact process of it.
Absolutely, yeah. So I like the fact that, I've learned everything, and then went to work for a Black-owned business, and that's when everything changed, because there I was like, oh, okay, so, and I felt really proud to do that. It was different. It was a different experience. There I was like, okay, I can do this. I never liked working for anyone. Something I did because I had to do it. I never enjoyed being told what to do.
Yeah. Common thread in entrepreneurs, I find.
100%.
I hate being told what to do. Since a child, even my dad asked me to do things. He always asked me like nicely, because he knew I didn't like being told what to do. If you ask me nice, I'll do whatever you want me to do. If you don't ask me, I'd do even more for you.
100%.
Yeah,
100%.
but
it's something about being
told what to do. The authority. I've always been against authority.
Is that a Pisces thing?
Yes, it is. But also it's an entrepreneur trait. I hate being told what to do.
Yeah.
But I will move the world for you.
Yeah.
Just don't ask me to do it. Just weird.
I'll do it of my own volition when I'm ready.
Don't ask.
I will. Yeah. So from there, I sort of understood a couple of things. When my ex-boss showed me, this is how sort of works. You basically learn to do recruitments. I didn't know how to do recruitment at all. I was a lawyer working at a procurement company, but then I saw people earning like 2 million, 1 million. I was like, what? Like, what am I missing out?
Yeah.
And then I said,
so you were a lawyer at this point?
Yeah. I was working. I worked prior to that business, I worked as a head of legal for another business in the city, and where I was just dealing with, everything to do with open up businesses abroad, open up businesses here, take care of their policies, go to court if there were any disputes as well. So I would represent them, the usual legal stuff. And then I decided to leave that business. I wasn't happy there. So I went to another business, which then I found out during the interview process that was actually black owned. I didn't know that prior to that. And then I said, I want to join this business. This is what I want to be. If I'm going to learn anything, I want it from them.
Yes.
So then I joined them. They were actually based in Chiswick. And then from there, actually, it was right. I learned. He was quite open. I said to him in a couple of weeks, I said, can you be my mentor? I need to learn to do what you're doing. Most people potentially would say no. I don't have time, or I'll be quite cocky. I find that quite a lot in the industry. He was like, okay, cool. If you're ready for this, then I'll teach you what I'm doing and where I started. So I just tried to understand his journey to where he was. He was the one that said to me, your journey is so huge, Anna, you need to be out there. And that's when I sort of contacted a couple of people and decided I need to share this, I need to share where I came from. It's like, for a woman that completely changed her whole life in the space of like 2 years, built everything, and you're always quite hands-on, and where you came from, like, you need to share with people need to know this, and that will inspire loads of like other girls out there, other women, people that feel that they can't do certain things. So from there he showed me how to do recruitment, really. So then I started doing it. Within about 6 months, the business went from 0 to 1.3 turnover, and in a full year was 10 million. And then, but then obviously it's hard. Basically, it's when you get to success, they don't tell you that you have to keep up with this.
Exactly. It's more,
how to maintain that.
The administration becomes everything, right?
Yeah. Every day you have to do the work.
Yeah.
There is no like entrepreneur. That's the thing. You can't switch off. Yeah. Sometimes I wonder. I lay in bed because I spend a lot of time by myself. Every Sunday I'm in bed and I reflect on, should I just... The stress of this is stressful, Is it worth it? Should I just go into a 9 to 5 job and then...
Wow. But it never satisfies you.
Yeah, it would never.
For the vision that you have, you just know when you have to do that thing.
Yeah.
Can I ask you a question? Just in terms of when you approached your mentor at the business before you kind of launched into yours, have you noticed that most mentors, or the ones that you want to have, it's more of a heart posture that they have that allows them to be in that position? Because I always find that when you get to a certain level of success, you get two people. You get the person that's like ultra defensive of what they've built and what they have, and they're not like, they are going to guard those walls and those borders. Yeah. And then you have others that it's almost like they're so grateful for moving into a season that they're in. Yeah. That they're like, any way I can give these seeds to someone else to go and plant them. Yeah. And I just wondered if, like, A, if you found that when obviously you picked your mentor, and B, is that something you think you're going to kind of move into, and maybe 100%. That's how your legacy is going to grow? Absolutely. I think he the way he is to this date, he's still the same, is the fact that he's quite open to help out. And I think, it's not everyone, because I've reached out to a couple of people some people that are incredibly well in the industry at this point. I won't name any names, but like the energy that you get, like, no, I don't have time for this. I'm too big now. I am this and but you know what? That gives me more of ambition to, like, you know what? I'm gonna surpass you. Now you become like, it becomes a campaign when somebody tells me no, because I'm going to surpass you and I'm going to reach out to you. You will come back to me and ask for help, and I'm going to say, I love that. Hell no. Oof, then be fighting. Because when you get there, I think you should extend a hand and say, like, have some interest. Yeah. Like, before I go here, the person that built Canary Wharf is Mr. Sir George. And I saw him on a lift when I was going up. We are in the same building. I didn't even know who he was. Stop. Yeah, because that was way too much information. The guy that built Canary Wharf is a guy called who? Sir George.
Sir George.
And you saw him in the lift.
In the lift.
So he just hangs around Canary Wharf.
Hanging
just
out, just hanging out.
Just checking the inspiration.
Look at that.
Just
That ain't to scale.
that bolt ain't in properly.
Sorry, I know.
We met at the parking lot, and then that day.
You just said that so calmly. Sorry.
Yeah, we met at the parking
Reference
lot.
to the world you're living in. That's what it is.
We met at the parking lot, and I was like, oh, okay. That day I felt like he's an older gentleman, so I thought I'm gonna be nice today. I'm in a good mood. Like, I said, hi, good morning. And I asked him, do you need help going up? He was like, oh no, I think I'm okay. But how good morning to you? He said, I like your energy. I was like, yeah. I said, and I was like, you seem a bit lost. Do you want me to help you out upstairs? He was like, no, actually, I built this place. I was like, what? And I was just, what?
Man said, no, you're good.
I know the way.
I got a key card.
I know the secret doors around them. Don't worry about me.
I was like, oh, okay. Then I started asking questions. I was like, okay, so how was it? When was that? And he said 1986. And I was like, oh, I was born in 1987. And he was like, oh, I should have waited a year. I said, right, I should have waited a year. And then we walked, and he asked what I do. And I said, I'm a lawyer. He said, well, what's the name of the company that I've got in Canary Wharf? And I said, Allium. And he was like, what does that mean? I said, oh, it's Latin for different. And he was like, oh, I like the fact that you named something in Latin, You seem interesting. I was like, no, you seem interesting. And then as I was going up, I was like, oh, well, so what's your name? And he was like, oh, my name is George. And then he gave me a surname. I was like, I if it's a Romanian surname. I was like, oh, I can't. I'm going to try and find you. Then he goes, do you want my name? Do you want my contact? I was like, no, I'll find you on LinkedIn. Don't worry about it. And I went upstairs. And my finance manager is from Romania. I said, I met a guy called George. He said he owns this place. She was like, oh my God, he's such a big deal in Romania. I was like, what? Then I Googled the man. And I was like, oh, actually, Sir George. I should have to show some more respect. Yeah.
And he's super cool.
Yeah,
it's George.
Just George.
Just George, yeah.
Just George.
And then the man was like, he's like 6 or 7 billion net worth.
Jeez.
And I'm just walking but then you would meet somebody with maybe 20 million, and I'm like, no, I'm too good for this. So you see the difference between people. And then I messaged him. I said, I managed to find him. Then I guessed his emailed him. I said, like, oh, you know what? Are you available for a coffee, or are you available to meet up for a podcast? Whatever. And he was like, I won't do the podcast, but I would love to meet you for a coffee. And you see the difference between 100%. That, somebody that they just make it, and it's just like, let me keep this.
Yeah, I find it interesting that those characters do tend to be like, don't put me on camera, but I'll come chat to you in private. And the fact that he wouldn't say, I'm Sir George, and that's Sir George to you. Well, it's that kind of. I had a question about to bring it back slightly to your upbringing and the world you're living in now. Is do you ever find there's a disparity on a sort of, I guess, on a sort of soul level, for want of a better word, between how you felt as a child, your identity as a child, to the identity you have now, given that they're so vast different? You're experiencing people dying trying to get electricity to turn TVs on, and to now you're walking into the lifts with Sir George. Sir George, exactly. 7 Billy D's. So, do you find there's any part of you that struggles to ingratiate both those identities?
Yeah, it's bizarre. So when he said, let's meet for a coffee, I was like, what am I going to talk with this man? You get the imposter syndrome kicks in straight away. Right. You feel like an imposter. You're like, what am I which world? But he was so down to earth that I feel that I'll probably be okay. I feel comfortable. But if somebody said, let's meet Elon Musk, I was like, who? I'm not intelligent enough. Who am I? But then I've also have the issue when I meet up with my friends from back home. So, when I came here, I built loads of friendships, mostly that didn't speak Portuguese, because I wanted to learn English. I was like, let me just park this and leave the community completely and just go and learn and experience other cultures and things like that. So when I go back, I feel nostalgia, but also I don't fit in quite well, Wow. So I'm just on my own. It's really bizarre. I just don't fit in there anymore because, all you talk about is the past. You can no longer relate with now, right? Most are not doing what I'm doing, or if not, everyone is not doing anything I'm doing, but I still meet up and I still want to be that person, Yes. I'm still trying to hang on to something that I don't know if I am anymore. It's really...
Do you feel any guilt about it?
Definitely.
Guilt for being successful? Yeah.
Yeah, I do. I do feel. So when I go home, I visit my uncles and my aunties.
Yeah.
They're like, they probably expect me to, when I go into the hotel, I was like, no, I'll sleep on the sofa. Sure. Or let's all sleep on the floor like in our days, you know, like we used to do. Because I don't want it at no point that they feel, you know, she's not longer the person I've met. Yeah. Or she thinks she's too good. Or she thinks, to be fair, there's a perspective also thinking, oh, will I be judged? But then I feel I'm going to be judged in both settings, isn't it?
It's when you move beyond the line of people's sight.
Yeah.
The only thing that connects you to what you know is what you leave behind for them to follow. Makes sense? You will always be that person, because in the first couple of minutes of this podcast, we spoke about something that was connected within our childhood.
Yeah.
That, if anybody looking at your face, that wasn't trauma. That's pure joy. So then what you are is because the foundation was so good.
Yeah.
Which means that if the foundation is good, we can change the building as many times as we need.
Really?
Of course you can, because the foundation, it stays. So you can change the structure. Structurally, the building can change.
Yeah.
If the foundation isn't good, then the building is forever condemned.
Right.
Which means that, okay, we have to dig everything else up. So the fact that you were able to go through things that for one person or for another person is traumatic and painful.
Yeah.
When you use that and you create gratitude out of hardship, then when you come into a season of when it's better, your ability to repatriate blessing, not only naturally, but your presence becomes... When our family knows that she can go into the center of wherever she wants to, in the Algarve or wherever, Lisbon, wherever, and go sleep wherever she wants, but she would rather the floor.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is testament to the character. That's the real litmus test, Luke.
Yeah, yes.
It's when, for example, so Lucas lives in the city. I, on purpose, I do not come to London if I can help it.
Me too.
And the way I remember very vividly when for a year no one listened to our podcast. And then we had
tough, isn't it?
But I also think that those are the moments that really proof your intention.
Yeah.
Because if all he wanted to do was just get listeners and get fans and have people go, oh my God, then that's how heaven wheedles out the jokers.
Yeah.
Because there's something beyond what we just want to get. And I remember the first time he was on the train and you were like, something wild happened today, bro. I was like, what do you mean? It's just like, I was just walking around and I felt like there was a couple of people watching me. I didn't know something was going to happen. And it was the sincere interaction of people just saying thank you.
Nice.
Because he'd put himself in a place of vulnerability to do something that they had dreamt about but never thought possible. I'm telling you, because of the way you're being, when you stay with your family and you are the way you are, that's the blessing that they get back. That they saw that someone could go conquer and still, with all that you've gained, love what you came from.
Yeah, I do. I absolutely love it.
And I think that's why God will bless you even more.
I'm so happy.
Because God blesses those that he can trust.
Well, God willing. When I go through the tough times in business, when things are going really quiet, I'm like, oh, you know what? I went through that time actually the last 2 years, and I'm thinking, you know, one of my businesses hasn't been as successful as it had been, especially when you taste growth like that. Sure. You expect it to continue.
Everything to just keep
going, and then when it stops, and I'm like, whoa. And then you pray. 12 months, you pray, 18 months, and I'm like, God, I'm still here. Can you see me? Can you do this? What is it? Why do you always have to give me the hardest bit? I was born like this in a really bad condition.
Bullets in the car.
I came here. I'm seeing people just go there and do their thing. Why me? Why do you always make me work extra hard? I've always felt that God always make me work extra hard for wherever I want. So then 2 weeks ago, I was talking to a friend that comes to my office every Monday. And I was like to him, do you believe in God? And he was like to me, yeah, I do. I said, why? He said, when he was homeless, he came to England, he's German, lived in America, in Brooklyn, and then came to England, London, and he became homeless.
Wow.
And he said, lived homeless for a while. And then I said, okay, and then why do you believe in God? And he was like, because every time I didn't have anything to eat, I would go outside and I would find money on the street. And I was like...
Goosebumps.
Yeah.
For a reason.
He said every single time. And I said, well, do you pray? He's German. I said, do you pray? And he was like, no. I feel like God is everywhere, is energy. He knows when you need him. He knows to be there. And then I was like, at that point, because I was like, he was like, how about you? I said, you know what, before that comment, I was like, I don't know anymore if God exists, because I see God see me struggling, and, you know, And he still does anything for me. And he was like, and one of my other colleagues was like, you're being ungrateful because there's people from back home that are looking at you, wishing they were in your position.
Just to be there for a
minute. Just have the opportunity there.
Yes.
And then I was just like, you know, I said to them, keep me grounded like that.
Yeah.
Make me wake up whenever I feel like God forgot me, or where is God? What I'm start doubting that you actually exist. And because I've been through tough times 2 years or 3 years, doesn't matter. To be fair, I was born in tough times and I was in tough times for 12 years.
Yeah.
So what's the difference now? And that's something that he reminded me. He was like, Anna, you're always going to go through challenges, whether it's going to be illness or finances or somebody dying, you're going to go through it. That's life. You just have to get on. Just because it's happening doesn't mean God doesn't exist. And that changed my perception of, or at least strengthened my faith.
Yes.
Yeah,
we get lost in the sea, man. Honestly, there's something about in this world we're in, but especially in the sea. There's a moment last year actually where Sean checked me in. It was amazing. It was one of my favorite things you ever said. We were sitting. It was a whole bunch of stresses I won't go into, but just a whole bunch of things. And I was like riffing on this thing, riffing that thing. And we'd actually just done this partnership with a sofa company called Swift. They sent us a couple of armchairs, like just as a sort of like do a video and da-da-da-da. These chairs, like they're pretty expensive chairs, and like not something I probably would have spent the money anyway. And we're sort of sitting, I was sort of being, oh man, it was like 10 in the morning. I was like, oh man, just this is this and this and da-da-da. And I was stressing about money, I was stressing about job opportunity. And Sean was like, bro, you're sitting on a £1,000 chair. And I was like, yeah, fair point. From where I grew up to where I am now, it's like
that someone delivered to your house.
Someone delivered to my house
for free.
And I'm whining. I'm whining about like and it fascinates me because how relative it all is. That you saying you feel like an imposter to go and sit with a billionaire, but to many people, to my eyes even, it's sort of like, you think you turn over 10 million. I can barely see the difference in those things. It's like, you're like, that's just rich. When we grew up as kids, and I'm sure,
I had nothing.
Not compared to yours. I had a very sort of humble working class background, and there was a lot of times there wasn't any money at all. But wouldn't even dare compare it to the stealing, people dying to get electricity. But but in the relation to that, like, we just, when we used to bike in where I grew up, like, the one half of the time would be like, the girls in that side of town are rich because they've got 3-bedroom houses. Like, you guys are rich, man. And now I live in London. I go to restaurants and I'm sort of like get to live this sort of artistic life. And I still sort of look for, I think I'm a rich man. I am now, and I don't mean even financially, but just in the lifestyle or the sort of ease or the joy I get to have. Like, I am the thing that I always dreamed I was going to be literally right now today. Yeah. And on the way down, they'll still be like, fuck, I don't know, man. Maybe this isn't, maybe this and maybe that. It's amazing how hard it is to arrive at a place of actually, like, someone had an amazing thing recently, someone saying you have to decide what exactly it means you to be successful, otherwise you'll never attain it.
That's deep.
That is so true.
Because you just keep going. You just keep like when are you successful? Actually, as a question, and for all of us, like, when are you successful? When will you consider yourself successful?
I don't have an answer. So every year I keep adding more to it. Every year. So this year I'm like, I need to finish my pilot license. I need to achieve another 10 million. I want to be a billionaire. I want this. I want that. So I'm never going to achieve that. I'm never going to. It's going to be. My life will be
endless
of trying until I die, where I'm going to sleep for a long time. I don't think I will ever stop. I'll rest. On Sundays. The Bible said that God's rest on the seventh day, so I have to rest. I always used to be about that. I listen to motivation speech, and that's what the boss changed my life. But I don't think I will ever achieve that. But I don't know if this is good for us though, because then it can get levels of really low, because you're always in comparison. You're comparing your life now, not to where you came from, always compared to what it was yesterday or what you wanted to be tomorrow.
Or someone else's.
Someone else's. Always comparing like what I want to be tomorrow. So I'm never satisfied with today. That's a very dangerous place to be.
Do you know what? I think I agree with exactly what you're saying. I was contemplating the other week, and I had this little thought as I was taking my morning walk. And the thought was, to be is to do, and to become is to believe you already are. You're already successful. You remember about 5-6 years ago, Lucas and I were in collectively a financially horrible place. And I remember I said to Lucas, Lucas, we're spiritual billionaires.
Damn.
I just haven't figured out how to cross the bridge of manifestation yet.
That's going to be my new thing now.
And I realized that the minute, as a man thinketh, so he is. Okay, now that's a biblical text and so on and so forth. The reason that's true is because if we come into this room and we even look at Anna a certain way, or we say some disparaging comments, that is going to seed something in her mind that she's either going to allow it to grow, because atmospherically, in a mental way, sun and rain will go and it will grow. Yeah. Or she's going to go in and she's going to do some gardening. She's going, I'm going to deroot that because I can't allow that to grow in my mind. So that means that based on what we hear every day, either determines whether the seed that has been put in for us to be exactly the full potential of what we are, whether we allow it to grow and germinate, or every day we're pulling it up.
Yeah.
Because I promise you, every day, heaven is allowing that seed to go back into the soil of your mind. But depending on how good the soil is, will depend on how well the seed grows. And it takes our complicit action to either protect the good ground and allow it to grow, or for us to allow it to be plucked up and taken away. And I think for a person, anybody that has listened to you even for the last half an hour or so will see that you are an intentional person, that you're not passive. No. You see it and you go for it.
Yeah.
But that can make you restless and tired if you never know when enough is.
Yes.
And if you can sit and go, okay, God,
if I get to $1 billion,
given me enough.
No, if I get to $1 billion,
if I get to,
but you're already,
and then it'll be 10,
relaxed.
and then it'll be 10, and then it'll be
But she's already there.
Exactly, I agree.
And it's.
But if I have that mentality, that I'm already there, I'm a billionaire.
If you have there, then what it takes is the pressure out of what the work you think you have to do.
Yeah.
And all you're learning is how he moves to move you from point A to point B. Because sometimes we get so caught up in the relief of blessing that we miss the lesson of the formula. God, I'm not trying to have these moments of, oh my gosh, I can't believe this happened. Even your friend that found money every day.
Yeah.
The point wasn't, oh, I'm going to find money. It's like, so then if I'm finding money, what does that link back to?
Yeah.
The birds never cry
or
ask, where's my food?
Yeah.
They just know that it's going to come.
Yeah.
And they go and find it.
Yeah.
The flowers of the field never ask how they're clothed. And they're here today and gone tomorrow. Oof. And if we are,
I love that.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And if we are in higher thought than they, and they are living on an all expense paid, all inclusive earth experience, what are we missing because we're trying to be in control of stuff that's already been figured out?
Do you think it's pressure? Pressure, friendships, family, pressures. I think also expectation as well that you set on yourselves. 100%.
But I think also, and this is even in my experience, and I can't imagine how intense it must be from your experience, that when you come from a place of lacking, it's an inception.
Yes.
You know the concept of the spin and toe in the mind safe that never ends, and if you incept that idea, it won't end. Like the spinning dial that will be in your mind is that I will never be in that situation again.
Yes.
And you can't turn that off. And so you've long crossed over that the possibility of that, and you're still thinking, but I will never be in that situation. So if I get to the billion, then I'll be free from it. But you'll get to the billion, then you'll think, okay, when I get to 10 billion, because the endless spinning, and it'll be the exact same thing because I think it comes from a place of
lack
and fear and protection. And actually, in a way, it's a loving thing, because when I think about, like, I think I want to make sure my mum's around, I make sure my dad's around, make sure my girls are around, I want to make sure that, like, it comes to this place of, like, I will not allow my people or my children, when they are eventually here one day, to be in that situation. I will not allow that. And that's a beautiful intention. But if you I think if you're not mindful of that, that can just keep spinning. And it can,
I think that's my issue.
Sometimes the fight's over. Sometimes the battle's won. It's done. You did it. You did it. You know what I mean? The piece is available today.
But do you? I think I've got two things with that. I was thinking of that the other day. I was like, okay, so if I think I'm done, does that mean I stop doing what I'm doing? Does that mean I stop wanting to help people and stuff?
Because it's all upscalement.
Okay.
So it's like you're done on level 1.
Okay.
So level 2 is level 1 just with some extra dimensions.
Yeah.
Level 3 is level 2 with some extra dimensions, and maybe because every time that you build to the next level, you've attained more information that allows you to feel the contentment within the gratitude that then pushes you naturally.
Yes.
It's like the way I see it is like the mission remains the same, but the reason changes. It's the same mission, but now it's not to elevate self, or it's now
yes,
come back to the village and be like, right, look what I found out there. I got
Let me get this
for everyone.
meat.
Exactly. Yeah. Like I've eaten now. I've eaten now. I can think clearly now. I've slept well for the night. So let me go and make sure everyone's. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what I think. The end. I'm loving
this.
I'm freezing, bro.
But you know we've got to get onto the 10 million in the government.
Yeah, we've got so much to go still. Okay,
honestly,
that was one time. We'll do this all day.
This is lovely.
We'll start recording and we'll just. No, we're so
honoured to have you.
Thank you so much. Also, how's your surname pronounced?
Vilhete.
Yeah. Ana Vilhete. Right, carry us on your journey. So we got to. We haven't got to COVID yet, have we?
To where?
On your journey.
Yeah.
We got past COVID. We
did. Because when COVID hit, that's when I opened up the business, right?
Okay, of course.
I left the last business. Oh yeah, we didn't get there. Yeah, I was still on the mentorship. Yeah. So I left that business. I was like, okay, I had about 20k savings only, and I thought, okay, so what do I do now? I don't want to work for anybody. And I told that person, my last boss, I was like, this is going to be my last job. After this, I'm never going to work for anyone else. But then I walk away. I don't know the formula. I'm like, what I thought I was going to be doing, I end up doing it. I was meant to have a business partner. It didn't happen. So I was like, okay, I'm my own, 20k in the bank. My house is okay. I can pay my mortgage, I guess. I've got about 6-7 months there. I'm like, so I'm going to do now. I'm going to do. Then I stayed 2 weeks just trying to think. Then I met a guy from Germany on LinkedIn. And then he was looking for a co-founder for a recruitment company. I was like, okay, maybe this is God telling me to go with this guy. So I went, called him. He traveled to England the next day. He bought a ticket, he came to England the next day. We met at Nobu in Shoreditch. And I was like, I think God's going to be good to me. and then
let's get it right.
And then I was like, then we started working together. He wanted to move fast. I was like, I like moving fast. Everything I do it too fast. And then I was like, okay, let's do it. So I started working with him straight away. But only lasted 3 weeks. I just found him overwhelming. He was too intense and just too on top of me, just like, because I was going to do the part of the business development and he was going to do the part of like structure of the business and stuff like that. But without the business development, you can't get the other bit. Yeah. Right. So, and then he was just on me constantly. I was like, okay, this isn't working. I called him after 3 weeks. I said, this isn't working. But then, and I said, like, I was about to hire staff as well. We signed an office in Shoreditch. He had everything set up. He had the investment, he had money, he had people. He was going to blow. So then I was like, okay, I'm going to have to walk away from here. But I think my best friend said that to me once. I think that 3 weeks was just to show me that I can do it.
Yeah.
That was all it was. So, and for me to kind of notice, instead of enduring that and say, I'm just going to keep up because, this is a shortcut. I'm still going to achieve success. I'm still going to make a serious money if I stay here. But I was like, no, I don't want this money. You can keep that. But I've tried to leave it in a very nice sort of no, because I said to him, like, I don't think this is working for me. I don't think we're going to be successful together because, your personality and I will clash eventually.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I can take it. And then anyway, so I really had hired staff in England to work with me. So then I was sat on my bed. I was like, the guy called me. I was going to meant to hire my first employee, Connor. He called me and said, oh, so am I starting working? You said, the guy told me, I'm not going to say his name, the other guy told me that you guys are not working together anymore. I said, yeah, we're not. It didn't work out. I had been to interviews in about a week or so because I can get the job. I did the job, so my eyes closed. But for some reason, I wasn't getting the job either. I was going there like a preparation. I think I didn't want it. So when you don't want something, it's not going to happen.
You also broadcast that.
Yeah.
People can tell when,
Yeah. So then I was like, okay, I'm not getting the job anyways. I went to interviews. Really don't really want to do this. I said to the guy, you know what, join me. I'll pay you a salary. Bear in mind, I have no money like that. His salary was 24k. My savings is 20k. I was like, we just have to deal with this. I just have to break this down into months. Yeah. So then he joined me. He said to me when he joined me, after a few months, when we were like, then I bought a ticket to Aruba. I'll tell you that story after. For us to go 5 stars to Aruba. And a year later, he said to me on the beach, he was like, Anna, you know what, when I joined, I didn't even know if they were going to pay me. I didn't know if they were going to pay my salary. I didn't even know if you had money or not. I just thought, well, I've got to lose with COVID anyway. So.
Yeah.
And he had been fired. So he joined me.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And I said, like, wait, so we have no job. I have kind of little savings, let's just make this happen. Every day I just did the business development I was doing anyway with the other guy. And this time I was getting meetings, I was getting stuff, things are coming through. And then he was doing the work. He was relentless beside me. And then there's another guy as well, third person, one of my friends at the time said, I'll work for you for free until you pick up the business. I believe in you that much. I was like, okay, cool, let's do this.
This is recruitment.
This is recruitment. And then more people start joining in lower salaries. And then suddenly, within about 3 months, we got our first 10K paid. And for me, I don't care how much more money you get after that. That first 10K, that the relief you get from 100%. I know my time is ticking. Yes. My time looks like 20K right now. Yes. And that 20K, I'm spending 3K of that every month or 4K of that every month. Ooh. Like, the time,
you're running out, the hourglass is running out.
It's reality. It's like, it's just there. But you keep going. And we were working from like 9 to 9 in the evening, 9 to 12 p.m. We didn't stop. And within 6 months, they were earning 6K a month, to 10K to 11K a month. Wow. And that for me was the happiest moment in my life, because they believed in me. And they looked after. And it was then we spent I said, let's go to Aruba, because I've been promising for months. We went there, had a 5-star holiday, all because I wanted to thank them for believing in me, for sticking around. And then it was a beautiful journey. They're not with me anymore. Everyone sort of moved on. He went to do a PhD.
Oh, wow.
He wanted to study, always wanted to study, but I've got faith that one day he's going to come back to me again. I always say that to him. He was like, if you give me some shares, I was like, give it. That's not a problem. Now the team got bigger, things change. You get other challenges where you need to change. The startup mentality has to it doesn't work anymore. You need to become corporate. You have to have policies. You need to be quite clear with people. And I had to learn that on the job. Every day was a learning curve, and you need to learn to not be emotional, because when it comes to your business, it's your baby. Yeah. You love your girlfriend, your business, you're building it up. It's very personal. 100%. Like any criticism is personal. Anything that goes well is personal. Anything that goes bad, it really hits you. I had to learn. You go home, you cry, and you get that emotion out. Then you come back next day, and the fact that you always have to be in a good mood, and because you can't transmit bad energy, even though if you're feeling scared, there's fear there, things are not going well for mums, or if there is like worry, or if you you have issues at home, your personal life, in your family, whatever, granddad died, you have to go to work and never bring that energy. I always have to be there. But that also drains you, because you become you're a different human being, different places, right? Constantly in the morning, I'm a mom, I'm a family member, I'm my mom's eldest daughter. I take care of my whole family. And during the day, I take care of like 20 people, 40 people. And in the evening, I go back to being me. And this is what I think I need Sundays to reset and to think and to get ideas as well flowing, and to get my creative stuff. Because otherwise, I'm just so many different humans that when do I become me? Then I get lost.
Yes.
You get really lost.
I do think, like, as time goes on, not to sound as it sounds like a sort of scary thought, but like I don't think thinking of ourselves as one person is actually very useful or helpful narrative to follow. Like I think we are sort of a we're like a prism that light shines through in various situations. You are in an entirely different sort of representation of the same or a variant of the same thing. Because like you said about going home now, who you are with your childhood friends or your family at home, it kind of isn't the same person you are in London, or maybe quite interesting. And I feel the same thing going home to and there's nowhere near as much disparity, but like going back home, I don't feel the same person. I'm not the same person probably talking to Sean as I am quite to my dad or something, or whatever. There's I think we are so many different things, and I think if you don't ingratiate all of them in your Sundays and sit down and like meditate into who you feel the most connected to, is like you do become quite fractured, I think.
I couldn't agree.
Does that make sense? Do you think?
Absolutely. I agree wholly with that. But it's interesting, like people from back home, even those that had my Instagram, other than recently, they didn't know about my life here.
Right.
So when I go back, I am that person that they've always seen or were used to.
They haven't changed.
Yeah, they all they know, like, oh, she must be doing okay because she doesn't ask for anything. But I go there and I'm still, the only reason that I start posting a little bit more because of this that I'm doing now, posting a lot more, and everyone started to ask questions now. And then one of my good friends called me on Sunday. So like people are starting to ask questions now, calling me and say, "So I didn't know Anna was doing this well, and I didn't know Anna is this big. I don't know." And then they were like, and she was like, "Yeah, she's been doing this for years now, but she just keeps it all quiet and stuff because she doesn't want you guys to see her as anything else than who 100%. She was. Because I don't want people to treat me differently. Yeah. I want to be that person that you see in the shop. I want you to treat me with respect because I'm a human being, not because of where I am." And I didn't hide anything because I was afraid to be asked questions or people asking for money and things like that, because I don't have issues with sharing. Yeah. It's just that I wanted to be treated. Told what to do either. Yeah. I like sharing, but I just don't want to be told. Sorry, but I just don't want to be. I just want to be treated differently. I wanted to be the same person. I don't want anyone to ever say, "Oh, she changed," or I'm still the same human being. Yeah. I'm still humble to. Yeah.
Yeah. I think our inability to recognize the tripartite nature of who we are is what hinders a lot of people from being able to be comfortable with who they are.
Yeah.
Like, because the information's wrong.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
It's like me coming into this room and going, "Oh, the walls are all pink," and you're like, "No, they're not." Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And it's maddening to the mind to understand something and then be told that's not the case. Does that make sense? And I think, often when Lucas and I speak, I talk about like a three-tiered building where you have a penthouse, a middle floor, and a ground floor. And I always think that your spirit is the penthouse, and you get away from everything. Like, if you start there, then when you then come down, it gives you the ability to deal with everything in your soul. So when
you guys get this stuff
so we were,
I feel like I need to get some notes. Seriously. I'll message you on Sunday, be like, "What did you say again?" I want to meditate on that.
I'll say that with you. But we always say that, like, you are a spirit, you live in a body, and you have a soul. And your body gives you world consciousness through our five senses. It connects us to our environment around us. Our soul gives us self-consciousness, and our spirit gives us God consciousness. Now, what usually happens is most of us I look at us as humans in a courtroom scenario, and usually your physical self and your spiritual self are the prosecution and defense, and your soul's the judge. Now, for most of us only ever allow prosecution to talk and talk and talk and talk and talk, and defense might get 5 seconds at the end. And then we wonder why we feel so dejected or defeated. And a lot of the time, if we gave, and it's all just, but it's based on what's around us. The world works best in balance.
Yes.
Nature works best in balance.
Yes.
Us as humans work best in balance. So then why would you not think that your creative dimensions would give the best version of you in balance? So then if I realize that God is the only thing and person that's never wished anything bad for me at any point in my life, why would he be the last port of call? Do you understand? My physical,
so good.
My physical self and my soul self are constantly having these arguments because my physical is telling me and is giving me information based on what's happening around me, and my soul's giving information based on what I'm feeling, based on the external information I'm getting. But yet the core part, the programming, the thing that has where the antivirus is, never transacted. And the minute I switched over and said, right, let me start with the thing that has never had an ill intention for me. And let me proof that information. That information I find absolute.
Nice.
What I get from my self-consciousness is variable. Why? It's based on feeling. So the minute the external changes, my internal changes, when really my internal is what will change my external.
Absolutely. Yes. I think we tend to forget that.
100%. So the minute that you sat there and you said within yourself, like, okay, cool, I'm not going to become a victim of what I overcame. I'm now going to use this as the propeller. What does that do? It's a mindset that then allows you to manifest in your everyday. You look for a mentor, you run into Sir George today, and just because you're being who you are naturally, not because it's anything more than you being you, your authentic core self. It moves you into a position where you're talking to a person 100%. But we very rarely give ourselves the time, just in the basis to your point, where if we can acknowledge that we are tripartite, that we are dimensional, we're a palette of colours. And then you work from that basis. I think we stop putting so much pressure on ourselves, and it gives us more patience within the process.
Yeah.
Because we're living in a world where everything's microwavable.
True. Wow. What you read?
Honestly, I have it every day and I'm still not used to it. Sometimes I'm like, how do you pull that one out?
I know.
It's just the downloads are incredible. It's just,
but it's the atmosphere of the conversation.
It is.
I think sometimes you have to be in a space where the flow's easy. And, you know.
But then I have a question then. Sorry to ask that question, but so does God want us to become a billionaire? Because money is just this world, isn't it?
Can I be honest? He doesn't care.
Really?
Of course he doesn't, because if the earth is his, what does he care about something he already owns? The only thing he's remotely interested in is his relationship with you. So if you maximize your basis to live in what he's given you here, if he said, right, we're going to make man in our image and I'm going to give him dominion over the 3 planes, then you're born with the capacity to have everything you want.
Absolutely.
He's only interested in how you think.
Nice.
So he loves you as a billionaire and he loves you broke. He don't care.
I get that.
Because you have Solomon.
But I feel like he doesn't want us to focus on that then. We should be focused on and build a relationship with him in that case.
That's my point. Like the reason why I think sometimes we then have those little moments in our journey is because what we do is the focus becomes the thing and not the giver of the thing. So the reason why I think you have the heart you have when you go home is because what you're trying to let everybody know is I haven't fallen in love with what I got. I'm forever in love with what I was given.
Yes.
Because what you were given is through the process of time and patience is what is basically, what's the word I'm looking for, is what is producing these moments now.
Yes. Yeah.
And so he doesn't want you to invest in what he's blessing you with. He wants you to invest in the journey of the relationship and the lessons you're learning, because then you pass them on. So that the next person...
100%.
And you may not get to billions.
That's my
but there is someone around you at home that will look at the path that you set and will be like, okay, so if I upscale based on what she did, then she made millions so that I could make billions. And that person can make billions, so the next person can make trillions. And
I'll be satisfied with that.
And it never becomes about what you have, because it doesn't matter. What you have is just a byproduct of what you can produce.
100%.
I think also, like, and speaking for myself at least, there's tendency to, I thank God so aggressively when a good thing happens. And it's sometimes I'm reluctant to be like, in all the negativity.
What, but that by prayer or like you're like,
by
thank you.
Well, like, both. So by prayer, probably a bit more of a rudimental. Thank God.
Oh God, thank you.
Yeah, exactly. But I also think, and I'm reluctant to remember, or for example, right, to not speak myself for a minute, but like I put a poetry book out at the end of last year, and some of the poetry in it has really seemed to resonate with people, and get a lot of messages and people sort of saying that, you know, I wouldn't ever take responsibility for this, but saying that it stopped them from killing themselves and that kind of thing, right? Because some of the poems are very specific. And like when I think about the arc of that, and obviously with that, the book's doing quite well, so there's like a little bit of finance attached to that, and I think, oh, thank you God. And I also think, but like all the stressful situations that preceded me even making that book, there's a whole bunch of factors that forced me into making that book out of, to be honest, not a creative place, out of a sort of practical necessity financial place. I was like, I need something to sell. And I can't help but notice or feel that, like, not to justify all the sort of stresses and traumas that happen in your life, but to think that both those parts are God. I mean, it's like the success is God, and all the negative,
the trials.
The reason you get to the success is also God. It's like the path you're on is set out. You know, like the reason that I think you could be on the path to being a billionaire is because what you should do. There's a reason you should do something with that. And
I think it's purely to help people.
Yeah, right.
Because I give back a lot, so it's for me to help people.
To go from, you know, like bullets in your cot to living in Canary Wharf, silk sheets. There is a toll almost to be paid, I feel like, from that, of like the reason that you will be in that position is because someone who hasn't been in that situation, someone who's inherited that, doesn't understand that any of that context, doesn't understand that's even going on in the world. And someone who's inherited, someone who's born a billionaire, they can't use that, and they actually literally can't use that in the same way you, because they don't understand the world the same way. You know, like you said about you have to be in 9 months cooking chips, and because
but God makes you go through the process. They want you to go through the process.
I almost feel like God makes you go through the process so you get it, so you maintain it properly. You know what I mean? Not so you don't just squander and that's where I think the choice part comes into. But that's my.
Do you know when you not to interview you guys, but when you hit, I feel like when I was really high up, I also questioned God.
Yeah.
I was like, is this God or is this me? And or is this that client or that individual that helped me get here?
How do you mean in terms of like
so when you're low, you question God, right, but when you're high, you question, is this?
Have I veered into?
I'm becoming a bit of an atheist. Like you thinking, was this God or was it? Because I know lots of people that are successful, they don't believe in God, right? No. They don't believe in God at all. Like my mentor doesn't believe in God. I said, the first thing I used to ask people when I used to meet them, do you believe in God? Because I grew up as a Jehovah's Witness. So I wasn't really never devoted properly, but grew up as like my family is still part of it. And then God was ingrained in me from a 5-year-old child, 4 years. So as soon as I got to Portugal, places like that attract loads of, religion, right? People, religion feel that people like that need help. They seek God because what else can you don't have food on the table. It's not going to jump in, and unless you go, you have to pray for God or something. I think that's what the hope that is given to us. Yeah. I think not to sort of deviate, but I think Africa is the same thing. There's a lot of religion in there because when you're in the midst of diversity, who else can you rely on, right? So then that was always ingrained in me. So then as I was growing as an individual, I always used to think, when I never forgot God. But then I got to there and I was like, that person really got God. Does God really exist? Elon Musk, I started reading books like with, Elon Musk, Warren Buffett. I was obsessed with Steve Jobs. Sure. I was reading all the big books because I want to get there. So how I'm going to learn to be there? I can't associate with these people right now. I'm going to read about them. And none of which believe in God. But then I think that's what probably enabled them to do some things that they shouldn't have done through their journey. But not here to judge. But
definitely
there was a point. That was like, maybe God doesn't exist. Maybe this is just humans. We just floated in the middle of nothing, paying bills, and then just we achieve what we achieve because of us. But I think that's when God knocked me out. I was like, no, this isn't you. This isn't him. And I think I saw Taraji
Henson?
Yes, Taraji Henson. She says like anyone that she's seen in the industry saying that they are now God, that they this, something always bad happens to them.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
That ego that's that looming that makes you forget quickly.
Pride is Pride is the perfect solution to turn a soft heart concrete.
Right.
The reason a lot of rich people or super powerful people do not believe in God is because like you said, some of what they do to justify it to themselves, they cannot believe that there is an equalizer.
Yes.
Yeah.
Everything you do, you will reap what you sow.
Yeah.
2, to believe in God is to relinquish control. You don't, come on. You don't get to that level of success to not be in control.
Yeah.
The reason Anna did not go into business with that first guy was because his intensity wasn't because he didn't want a successful business.
His control.
He needed the control of the most key asset he had.
Yeah.
To ensure he was going to win. Yeah. Now, the reason why God will then show himself to you is because he'll realize at that level, they're not going to hear it from someone that doesn't have what they have or is heading towards where they are or going to surpass them.
Yeah.
So the unseen chooses to reveal himself through the scene on the scene he created, which is your workplace, your marketplace, the world.
Yeah.
God best reflects who he is through us. So why is you telling me we haven't figured out how far the solar system and the universe is and God's going to come down because you think you've got some earthly money that's got to a certain level and I own and look after what you haven't even explored or discovered yet. Listen, I'm going to send Anna because she has the right heart and I'm going to give her what she needs so that when you come and talk to her and she tells you the information I need you to hear, you'll know who I am. Straight. And we sometimes miss, like, we rub in prayer like it's a genie. Like, oh, God, please come in. God's like, brother, first of all, I ain't got no time. Secondly,
like we do rub
I've already given you the solution. I am waiting for you to stop being passive.
Yeah.
The reason she's where she is because she stopped being passive. The reason your book grows, and let me not put your numbers out there, the money that it grows,
high five,
brother, is because you stopped being passive. Yes or no?
Fact.
So circumstance is the greatest advocate of necessity. God will squeeze us when we stop being what we're supposed to be. When you stop moving in the purpose direction you're meant to, he squeezes your environment. Oh my gosh. And then what happens? Yes. You start working and the door opens and you walk through it.
But how comes people sometimes fall into depression? Because that squeeze, because I've been saying to God, like, you squeezing me for 3 years, that's too much.
Because they're trying to work it out. They're trying to figure out what he's worked out. You ever seen a puzzle and...
Yeah, you need to try. Yeah, you have to, yeah.
And it's maddening to know that you understand something you can't solve.
Yes.
The whole point of God is he sits there and goes, literally, the basis of it is literally this. It's trust and relationship.
Yeah.
Like, because obviously we can, talk about this, but a lot of the time, sometimes things that seem very hard to understand aren't. They're very simple. And it comes down to a very basic equation. You either choose to or you choose not to.
I love that.
It's really interesting to bring that point about being at the top, because I had a thought on the way down here about how I wonder if there's something, because I've experienced a certain level of that lately, even just with like sort of a bit more attention recently from the book and that kind of thing. And like with people messaging saying, this saved my life, and because I know I'm just me, and I know that half the time I'm just messing around trying to work the thing out. I'm just as sort of stressed and fallible and don't actually have the answers. I've just sort of
me too.
Searching
I'm
as well.
like this, yeah.
But when people come to you and they go, "Thank you, you've got the answer," people look at you, they sort of
yes,
idolize you for a moment. It kind of it scares you, because you think the thing I idolize, the thing I look up to, the highest purpose, to God itself, if you will, is like I look to that, and I feel that what I'm trying to say, it's like it almost you feel this fear of that now that I'm in this position, I don't know what it is that the people. To my tongue, there's a really specific imagery I'm trying to cultivate. I think it's fundamentally that when you've been idolized, it makes you question the end point of what you idolize. If you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like I know this is a very sort of talking about it in quite a messy way, but like it's that. If I look to God to be the sort of the answer, the peace, the end of the journey, if you will, as who I aspire to be, how I aspire to be, when people start to idolize you, and you realize you're still just you, there's something deflating about that, because you think, well, actually, I don't know the answers. Does that resonate anyway? Does that make sense? I can try and dig that out further, but it's,
show them what you know, and that takes away the pressure of what you can't be. Show them what you know, it will take away the pressure of what you can't be. The only reason why I think I'm able to maintain a certain equilibrium of what we do is because everything that you think makes me whatever you make me in your head, because I'm not in control of that. I repatriate what you're trying to send to me, and I show you the reflection that this is not me. I am not intelligent enough to come up with these things. So I explain to people that I am in a consensual relationship where I trust the other more than myself. And I will then show you the byproducts of our conversations when I'm freaking out. How many conversations I had with you yesterday when I'm like, brother, when I see you, I got some stuff to tell you. Let me tell you why. Because I've learned more about God in moments where I couldn't feel him than when I believed I was in control or he was there. Why? Because the best parts of our relationship are the things that anchor you or give you real foundation, but it's not in the spring and the summer. That's when we will just enjoy it and we become visual. The thing that really roots your relationship is autumn and winter, when it gets quiet and things start to die. Because then you have to choose, do I wait for it to come back to life? Will it come back to life? You're not in control of that. So then you have to trust the thing more than your ability to get you out of the situation. And the information doesn't lie. I've been in way too many situations where I've given over that power and that kind of that will to be like, okay, cool, guide me. And it's a personal thing. That's why the best relationship, and sometimes I think, like you say, religiosity, it desensitizes us and sometimes dilutes the power of what that relationship's meant to be, because we can mistake ourselves and think that the community of that gathering or that fellowship is what we invest in, when the reality is it's a very personal thing.
So true.
And I found, and obviously I have a great relationship with my father, and I saw his model and realized that I needed to invest in a similar model. which gave me, obviously, I knew what to follow, and then you lean into experience that gives you what I call absolute information. So every time something happens, and you'll know this, it's very rarely, even when I'm feeling the stress of it, I very rarely panic. Doesn't mean I don't worry.
For sure.
But I don't panic.
Because you trust that God's going to take care of you.
Well, if everything was sorted before I got here, I just need to follow a script. Or I'm following a script that I'd like to be directing. But I just have to always remind myself, oh no, you're just a character that has been written in, and don't worry, your arc is good. and don't worry, the payback is coming.
I love that.
I'm on page 25, like, no, can we get to page 50, please?
Me too.
No, not until we've done 26.
26. This is what I was going to say to you, in fact, even the fact, your concern, what you're saying about, with Jeff Bezos and Musk and all those guys not believing in God. I think the difference in you is that they weren't sitting here being like, is this good? Is this bad? Is this, am I, they weren't questioning the existential element of it. And it's like, if you heard that thing about, let's say the person who becomes president is probably, the person who wants to become president is probably the last person who should ever become president, because to believe you should be in charge of a country probably by default makes you the person that shouldn't be in charge of a country. Like, the reluctancy to sort of that success is a positive thing. Or like say about psychopaths, like if you worry about being a psychopath, you're not a psychopath. You know what I mean? Like, if you like, psychopaths aren't fussed about that. They're too busy being psychopaths. Like, so it's like, I think the self-awareness in that and in your sort of moral plight with that is like probably a good thing. It's probably the thing that will keep you from veering into that, all the negative things you were, I guess, alluding to.
No, but I think it leaves me a bit open as well and vulnerable though, because I think I've been in, I don't want to say a bad word, but being done wrong. Yeah, it's going to say a different word. A few times, and I think one of my finance managers, she's East European, so she's like, "You're just too kind, just too nice, just do this, just do that." And I'm thinking, is this version of me needs to change? It just needs to evolve. I really need to sort of meditate and speak to God to understand. Because I don't want to change. I don't want to be. Sure. I don't want to change.
Be cold.
Yeah. I don't want my spirit to change. My soul. What got me here in the first place.
Absolutely.
To change, because the world has not changed. Because the world can't take, kindness, or people are always dubious, or people just have intent to come to your life and think, I can take advantage of her. Yeah. And then there's people that I've hired, and it was like, I'm going to take advantage of her. And I clock on, the thing is, I need to listen to God, because my gut feeling tells me something. In the first 2-3 weeks, gut feeling is just there. Yeah. And then it takes me, because I'm so nice, I give a chance, 1, second chance, third chance. And then like, maybe the person doesn't know, or maybe it's just a mistake, or maybe it's this. And then she's like, no, when you get that, you need to be able to just cut it off. Don't give people chances. But is that humanity?
I hear exactly. One of the first things you said in the first episode of the podcast was, I was quoting someone else, but that kindness is bravery if it's not naive. You know what I mean? Like, it's like you don't want to. There's something like, it's tempting, and I feel the same thing, especially in this city. Like, it hardens you in a way that it's tempting to sort of to lean into the more hardened, colder, less emotionally available version of yourself, and sort of just do that thing that everyone does, but just don't look at homeless people anymore, and just But like, there's something to be said for. I
still help them, by the way.
Yeah. I bet you do. Right, I bet you do.
I'm like, let's go for McDonald's. They're like, no. I don't want McDonald's today. I want a burger or something. They just, I want an Ivy. Right. I'm like, oh, so you're bougie? Okay. I'm like, is that what we
find here? You again. Yeah, but honest. But I bet you do, because for that exact same reason. It's like, I don't think it's not weak. Kindness isn't a weakness if you know that there is the capacity for you to be hard done by it. Like, and as long as you're also not. It's hard, it's a very fine line, I think, to be.
There is a fine line, because I like what you said. The naivety of it is what is wrong with
sure,
it, isn't it? Isn't it? That's when the sort of the limit ends. That's when you have your boundaries that you have to set.
If you're being tricked and you can't tell, or if you enter a situation where you have no awareness that you could be sort of tricked or hard done by it, that's there's more to be learned. I mean, but when you know there is a risk and you willingly protect yourself, and you put things in place to make sure it doesn't happen, but you willingly enter that space. And choose kindness and choose love still. I think that's a really brave and powerful position to be in.
I was actually driving on Monday home, and I like driving because it gives me time to be on my own and reflect on things. So that moment, like, I've been complaining about God for 3 years, right? And that moment, I literally felt a moment, because it was like, so I had no analogy by myself, nothing. I was on the motorway, nothing. And I was like, you're always complaining. But did you ever think that you put yourself in that situation? If someone done, you allowed that person to do that. And then when you get there and the person done you wrong, you ask God, why didn't he protect you? No, it's like going out, leaving your house door open, then anyone come through and expect not to be robbed. I never got that I'm 37. It took me, after my birthday 2 weeks ago, that's when I was like,
Happy birthday.
Thank you. Yeah, this man is like, yeah, because you're meant to protect yourself, right? You're meant to equip yourself. You can't just go in the world and say, I'm going to be nice, I'm going to be kind and help everyone and expect God to just help me out. And it's like going, out there and just completely vulnerable, allowing a child to just go out there and expecting God will take care of that child. It doesn't work like that. So I think, I needed that to happen. And it happened just days before I come here, which is interesting.
Insulation over isolation.
Yeah.
When we came in today, there are certain protocols that the Q put in place in order for you to access levels of this building. We're not on the ground level. When you come in the front door, if it's open, and sometimes it's not open, if you have access and it's open, you will meet someone at reception. They'll then point you to the back door that you need to press a button in order to gain access to go upstairs, where you'll need another key to get in another door. Some of us don't check our borders right, which means that when we lean into situations that will create the ambience and environment of naivety, then we get our heart broken.
Yeah.
Now, we then usually isolate and we start cutting people off and we become islands, drifting.
Yes. Yes.
And you don't need to, because all we need to do is to insulate by putting the right boundaries in place, which means that the external party, if they are true in their intention and their nature, they will happily go through the checks that allow you to let them through the boundaries of your insulation to come into the inner place. That's the only reason why that gentleman, when you started up your company first, was just like, and I don't care, I'll work for free. Because all of his personal protocols, you checked.
Yes.
And without seeing the thing you're chasing, you can see what you're chasing. You can't.
Yeah.
Which means that is an intrinsic thing.
It is.
Your ability to see beyond is called discernment.
Yeah.
You see beyond the veil of what's there.
Yeah.
That's what stops you from... You're going to go into the places of extreme wealth to show them the other side of what they've taught themselves based on negative experiences. If we know that most of the world's or all the world's issues can be solved by 5% of people, you really think they went into what they were doing without the idea or the repatriation of going, I'm going to help in a certain way?
Yeah.
So then what stops you starting with the best intention and getting there and changing everything? What happens along the way? So here comes God in infinite wisdom. He goes, I'm going to take this girl out of Angola. I'm going to send her to Portugal. I'm going to put a couple shells on her cot. And I'm going to give her a heart for me without her realizing. And I'm going to send her into the place. And I'm going to allow her to experience some stuff. I'm going to allow her to get there. But as she gets there, I'm going to put moments of transformation so that when she gets to where I've purposed her to be, she goes in there needing nothing, knowing I've given her everything.
Damn.
And you're the reason Buffett, Bezos, Gates, all of them will change their mind about what they think they know.
About?
Based on your experience and the reflection of the unseen through the scene on the scene that they're trying to dominate. And the maddest thing is, love is the greatest superpower in the world.
It is.
Oof. On that note, I don't want to end this conversation, but I think we need. I think we've reached
I think this is a spot.
I want to just let it hang in the air for a minute. just kind of
feel so.
I just want to permeate it for a minute,
brother. And I knew what I came down on the train feeling like, and I was
a
bit
brother.
tired.
I was a bit. I haven't said too much, and I got here. These men were chatting, and I was sort of like, I want to just set up some stuff in the corner. I was a bit, and now I feel like I'm ready.
I feel this is going to be a moment of change in my life.
Oh,
mine as well.
Me too.
Yeah, there's something happened today.
There's some stuff you've taught me about what I was being passive about, because I believe I love creation, but then I get bored because I just want to create something else.
Yeah.
And I've been getting dealt with management If you want to sustain blessing, you have to manage it. That requires your consensual participation every day.
Yes, every day.
Every day.
It's not, it's a campaign. Even on Sunday when I'm not doing anything, I'm doing reflection to be able to do better the following week. It's my preparation week because it's every day. If you want to be successful, I was even said that this morning, you have to work every day, whether in yourself or with mentally, emotionally, physically, whatever you need to do, is every day. It just doesn't stop until you feel like, okay, I'm happy now. I'm going to relax and do some gardening. It doesn't stop. But
there's something, just very quick, there's something you said about responsibility.
Gardening? Sorry, that just got
There was something you said about responsibility that reminded me of this old joke about you saying God, gives you everything you need to handle the situation. This old joke that goes, the man's drowning and a man walks past and says, let me pull you out. And the guy goes, no, it's all good, God will save me. And another man comes past and he says, pull me out. He says, no, that's all good, God will save me. And he gets to heaven and God says, I just sent 2 dudes to save you. Like, what are you doing?
I
did my job.
I did my job. It's like, And I think there's so much to be taken from this conversation. I'm so grateful
Absolutely.
For you being
Thank you so much for coming. For having me.
I feel like we came. I feel like we arrived there because
but now I feel like this has changed my life. It was really good to meet you both and the wisdom from this room.
You cultivated it, so thank you very much for being here and for sharing your story. And where can people find you on socials?
So LinkedIn, Ana V. That's it. And then Instagram is Ana Vilhete. So my name, Ana Vilhete. And people Google me, they will see it.
Vilhete, so beautiful to meet you. Thanks for being here.
Thanks so much for having me.
Huge love.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Yo, bye. That's it. We're done. That's at the end. Bye. Big love. Thank you to Sydney S, Angel Lynch, Derek Singleton, Kayla Penner, Caitlin Marsh, Asher, Olivia North, Swift, Miss Annette Mitchell, Chantel, Wilma Anderson, Josh, Jess Wilkins, Saffron Coyle, Ginevra, Hannah Mortimer, Luke, Jared Crumpler, Anna Crow, Grace, Nina Parrish, Kristen Reeve, Alex Morton, Kate, Michaela Nathan, Jamie Scott, Lucy, Layla Gopavar, Scarlett Faye, Raven Nicole, Andrew Rowland, Ellie Newton, Vanessa, Maisie Hancock, Lewis James, Leo Flanagan, Louisa Marnock, George Baxter, Vicky Malatos, Luke Constable, Emily Layla Cranfield, Helena Garcia, Lucas Crivelli, Eamon Rose, Ariana Uamama, Daniel Freeman, Till and Iman Hassan. Thank you all very, very much.